Coming up on this week's episode, we're talking Gerrard, Emery, and we're both going to choose a national team we think are going to overachieve at the World Cup, plus all our usual features, so let's get started. Hello and welcome to a new episode of View from the Sideline podcast. It's Chris here and Liam is with me. Hello Liam.
Evening Chris. I'm a happy boy this week.
Happy boy. Big changes for you. We've both experienced a manager loss this season.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that in a little bit. I think we're going to cover obviously what happened obviously Thursday, and then again obviously how you played the other day, and obviously the new arrival, and then we're going to each pick a team that we think are going to overachieve in the World Cup. So we'll get started, and we'll start with the departure from last Thursday, obviously after a not so gracious game against Fulham, which I think we both said that you should obviously be winning that game, or at least getting something from the game to make Gerrard's life a bit easier. And pretty much half an hour after the game, it was announced that they had sacked him. And I don't think there's many people that would have thought that probably not going to happen. I think it was all the most likely that if they lost that game, that he would have been sacked. So
I think the second that Douglas Luiz got sent off, if our owners could have come onto the pitch and sat Gerrard there and then, I think they probably would have done. From what I heard, I don't know how true this is, but a few fans that were at the stadium tweeted that the second Luiz got sent off, the owners that were in the director's box left. So I'm assuming that they just had enough. That was it. And I think it must have been quite awkward, because I think they sacked him immediately after the game, and I think Gerrard actually got on the team bus to come back to Birmingham.
You'll get home somehow.
Can't have been the most pleasant of journeys home, unfortunately for him. But I think you're right. No one was particularly surprised. He's got a few friends, I think, in the media that said it was all probably too soon and we should have given him more of a chance. But I just think he was trying to fit the players into his system. It was very clear the players weren't buying into it really from the end of last season, to be honest. Barring a few games, we obviously got the draw against Man City this year. We were 2-0 up at the Etihad last year on the last game of the season, and playing pretty well. But they were just sort of, exceptions to the rule. We were getting quite slow and predictable going forward. There wasn't much creativity. And I think with the players that we've got a lot of attacking talent, that I just don't think he was using it in the right way. I think the changes that we made for the weekend game, just goes to show that when you put players in their right position, because he changed 3 people from the Fulham game. So obviously dropping the captain was a big talking point amongst the Villa fans. McGinn got dropped to the bench with Ramsey, and he just started to play players in their actual position. Buendia was sort of an attacking midfielder. Bailey went on left wing. Danny Ings up front, and we attacked with pace and looked threatening every time we went forward. And to be honest, we could have scored probably more than 4. But it was a completely different team. The shackles were off. And we weren't trying to play Gerrard sort of quite narrow. He didn't like playing with wingers when we had wingers at the club. So, I think that's probably his biggest downfall, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but he's brought in some big names. He's done well, I think, in a transfer window in bringing in the right type of player. But I just don't think they were the right type of player that suited his system.
Looking at, obviously, when you put the 2 performances side by side, there's a clear difference in the style of play that you were playing on sort of Sunday to what you played on Thursday. Sunday you just didn't look like that you were playing with fear. It looked like everything had been stripped off, and whatever was said before the game, and whatever it was, it seemed to have worked. So, I think it's a difficult one because you can see that Gerrard is a good manager, but like you said, I think when you start playing players out of position, that's when it starts to get a bit tricky. I also feel that some of the signings that he's made sort of have kind of let him down. I mean, Coutinho is probably the one for me that sort of last season when you had him on loan, it seemed like Gerrard trusted him to get, the job done. And to be fair, I think Coutinho's best game was his first game that he played for you on loan.
United or maybe Man City away.
Yeah, but
the season. But yeah, you're right.
It just looks like that Gerrard just lost faith in him in the end, and I think he's been sat on the bench for the majority of the season. So, but obviously at the weekend you then saw what Danny Ings is capable of. He just looked like a completely different team, and I don't know what happens for Gerrard now. He had a pretty decent job at Rangers, to be fair, and I think maybe if he would have stayed there, I think they might have been doing a little bit better themselves in like Europe and in the league. But strange game Thursday. I think we both said that we weren't too sure it was a red card, and then it got rescinded anyway. So, but to be fair to me, watching the game, you weren't very good at all anyway. So no. I don't, even with 11 men on the pitch, I think you were struggling. So
yeah. I
don't think it really changed the outcome. It probably changed the outcome in the way that they scored as many as they did, but you recouped all that Sunday anyway. So
it wasn't necessarily a case of we were under quite a bit of pressure against Fulham. We weren't ever looking threatening going forward against them. So as soon as we went 1-0 down, even with 11 people on the pitch, we didn't look like scoring anyway. I think it was just a case of holding back the floodgates, and when Louise went off, being down to 10 men and losing someone in a position that is designed to stop you from conceding, probably led to their second and third goals. But again, individual mistakes as well, part of those goals. So yeah, I don't think it made too much of a difference, to be honest. It was a silly red card. I could talk for hours on VAR, as you know, but it's just a baffling decision that a referee can go to a monitor and see that and give it as a red card. And then there are people judging the person that's watched it to give it a red card and saying we need to overturn it. Ever so strange, anyway, put it that way. But what's done is done now. I think we're now playing with a bit more confidence, hopefully. I think that, to win 4-0 against anybody will give you a little bit of a boost going into the next game. And we've got Newcastle, so that'll be quite a good test, because obviously Newcastle have been very good this year, and we can see what kind of level we're actually playing at, how badly they want to play for the new manager. I think what you're saying about Coutinho, I think, is right. He has sort of become a shell of himself, like he's playing quite within himself. He wasn't playing any risky passes, it was all very safe. And I don't know whether that was because of Gerrard's system or not. I think he's a confidence player, Coutinho, and I think Buendia is as well to some extent. So it'll be interesting to see that if we can put a few results together and we can have a few games where we look dangerous attacking, whether Coutinho can fit back in, or whether he thinks now, my mate from Liverpool has gone, I think I'll be off as well. And he'll just sort of down tools and wait till the end of the season and then leave, or maybe even in January. If he has a good World Cup, that's if he's picked for Brazil. I don't know. He has been in their squads recently, so he probably will be picked. Maybe he'll use the World Cup to put himself in the window. But we'll see what happens. New manager coming in, and it's a clean slate for everyone, isn't it?
So obviously Emery comes in. Very sort of tactical manager, sort of brings that sort of Spanish philosophy that he's had at the Spanish teams that he's managed. Very hard to score against. Don't generally score many goals, but sort of get the job done. If it's like a 1-0, 2-0 sort of thing. So I think he'll keep that same philosophy, and he'll try and make you stronger at the back. I think if you watch the game on Sunday, you'll probably see that your forward play isn't. You don't really need to change a huge amount. But I think it's definitely sort of the defence that he's gonna have to work on pretty hard, because I think apart from the game on Sunday when Gerrard was there, you did look very shaky at the back. Tyrone Mings was one of them. I mean, he's made a few mistakes in the past couple of weeks that have cost you goals, but I think he'll work on the defence. And I don't think he'll change too much. He'd probably have an idea of players that he may want to bring in, and I always assume that sort of if you start halfway through the season, one of the sort of terms of you joining the club is that you have a list of, say, 2 or 3 players that you say, look, if you give me the job, I can get you these players at this price, and that's all I need, until the end of the season, to keep us. I don't think you'll be in, and I don't think you'll be in that sort of relegation battle come the end of the season, but he'll keep you safe. He'll probably buy a couple of defensive midfielders. He likes doing that. So I think it's a good man. He's a good manager as well. He's won the Europa League quite a few times. So I mean, I think he's probably one of the highest profile managers you've had for a while.
Yeah, 100%. And I think his system that he tends to go with, like you say, 4-2-3-1. So I think he probably will be looking at holding midfielders. But obviously Gerrard got rid of a lot of our wingers, unfortunately. So we only really have Bailey remaining. So I think I'm looking at sort of transfer reports and stuff today that we're apparently after Danjuma. Obviously bringing in his mates from Villarreal. I think maybe Chukwueze. I think that's
that's right. Yeah. I know you're right. Yeah.
He was sort of rumoured, and Pino as well. Basically everybody from Villarreal. Yeah, they're all clamouring to bring in their players, and you can understand. Champions League semi-finals, was it last year? Or might have been the year before, can't remember which. Obviously, they've won the Europa League. Emery himself has won the Europa League several times, like you say. So he's got the experience. I think a lot of people are sort of judging him on his time with Arsenal in the Premier League, because obviously that's the only time that he's managed in the Premier League. But, looking at it, he got a lot of stick, really, for his time at Arsenal. But, I'm looking at the statistics now. Arteta, who's being hailed as the next best thing, his win percentage is 57%, and Emery's was 55%. So there's not much difference, really. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we do need tightening up at the back. We all know that as Villa fans. Hopefully he can do that and just sort of let the attacking players play with a bit of freedom. I think he will be given quite a bit of money by the sounds of it. I don't know whether he'll spend much of it in January. Obviously, with the World Cup, I don't think people are going to want to move really in January, perhaps. But we'll have to wait and see on that. It might be a case of a summer sort of build into his tactical style. But I'm cautiously optimistic about the appointment. I think it's a big name, and we were rumoured with big names sort of from a couple of weeks ago. It was all about Pochettino. Tuchel was being rumoured as well. So to bring in someone who has left a team in Europe, I think it's a big statement, which is what we were after from the board, to kind of say they were committed. There was a few fans that were sort of getting a bit disgruntled that maybe the sort of plan to get us into Europe in the next few years was being forgotten about. So, hiring a big name like this shows that the board are backing their idea 100%. So it's good to see.
Yeah, because he was he on the rumoured list to join Villa, Emery? Because all I was seeing was the Sporting Lisbon manager, apparently.
Yeah, Amorim was the favourite. And then Yeah, he wasn't on the list particularly to begin with, I don't think. And it's only really sort of been the last kind of 48 hours that his name's been touted around a bit. But we like to keep things quiet, you know, at the minute.
Yeah.
We like to surprise people, and it was a surprise that A, we got it done, but B, we got it done so quickly. And to turn it around in, 4 days since Gerrard was sacked is sort of goes to show that we kind of had that deal sort of signed and sealed probably before Gerrard left.
Yeah.
Don't think you can turn it around that quickly otherwise. But yeah, very pleased really, and I just hope that he can kick us on, because I think there's a good position up for grabs this year. If one team just goes on that run sort of after the World Cup, I do think they can get into that 7th spot, maybe into Europe, who knows.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't see why it can't be us.
Well, let's hope you beat Newcastle this weekend, because I'm getting sick and tired of them. I think they overtook us as well this weekend, so it's very, very annoying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure he'll do a good job, and like you said, at least he's got this week to a whole week without a game. I'm assuming you're not playing this week until
No,
your game at the weekend. So
we're not playing until the weekend. He's not starting until November 1st. So I think Danks is in charge for the Newcastle game, and then Emery's first 2 games are both against Man United, one in the league and one in the cup. So good start for him.
yeah. Right, we'll move on to our little World Cup feature. I think we're going to do one of these every week until the World Cup starts. We'll just do something different each week with regards to the World Cup. And this week we're going to both choose a team that we think that might overachieve. So not necessarily win the competition, but do better than what is probably anticipated from them. I'll go first. And I have chosen Senegal.
Interesting choice.
Yeah, I think.
Interesting for an African team.
Yeah, because look, don't get me wrong. I don't think they're going to win the World Cup, right? But looking at the path that they've got some very winnable games, and potentially, I think that they could get to the quarterfinals and just get knocked out in the quarterfinals. But you got to look. They're coming off the back of winning the African Cup of Nations, beating Egypt, and then again beating Egypt to qualify for the World Cup. So, you know, they're already on a high. So, and you look at their group, they've got Holland, Qatar, and Ecuador. Now, I'm not a professional when it comes to teams, but I don't think Qatar are one of the best teams in the world. Ecuador, not a bad team, but definitely a team that Senegal can beat. Holland is an interesting one, because with Holland, you never really know what you're going to come up against, because, you know, since my lifetime, they've produced some of the best games at the World Cup. But then again, I've seen them get battered at the World Cup as well. So they're very hit and miss. I think they can win this group, Senegal. I think they can top this group.
I remember Holland not even qualifying for the World Cup, and I think was it the World Cup before? No, I think they failed to qualify for 2006, and then they got to the final of the one after.
Yeah,
it's all or nothing, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
I see where you're coming from. I can see where you're coming from, definitely.
And you look at their players that they've got as well. It's not like that they've got a bunch, you know, of average players. They've got Sadio Mane, who's probably their sort of star player. Mendy in goal. Sarr from Watford, Koulibaly, Kouyaté. They're very, the Premier League quality players there.
Yeah.
So I think they may surprise a few, but now I've said that, they'll probably get knocked out in the group stage after losing all 3. But no, I definitely think that there'll be ones to watch, and I think the Holland game is crucial for them, because I think if they can beat Holland, I think it'll be between those two anyway. So I think if they can beat Holland, they'll finish top of the group, and obviously finishing top of the group, you get a favourable draw in the next round. So yeah,
Yeah, they'll get the team that finished second in England's group if they top the group. So they'll, I mean, I'm hoping obviously England wins. So you're looking at Iran, United States, or Wales. From our perspective, because we would obviously want to top the group. But then I'm thinking from an England perspective, we probably want Holland maybe to top the group, and we'll play the team that comes in second in Group A, maybe.
Should be Senegal. Well, I think it'll be Senegal. So
yeah.
So from an England point of view, I think that England will probably be playing Holland, and then Senegal will play probably either the USA or Wales, which is a winnable game for them. So so that's why I chose Senegal.
And I think we've all got a bit of a soft spot for Senegal because I certainly remember the 2002 World Cup win against France. One of probably the games that sticks out in my sort of World Cup memory, if you like, was watching them beat France. The holders of 1998. So completely unfancied in that game, which seemed to get a big move for every single player in that Senegal team.
Every Senegal player that started in that game then moved to a high quality team.
Yeah. So I
managed that. Carry on.
It's a fond memory sort of watching that game.
Well, I think one of the players that played in that game is their manager now, Aloa Cisse. I think he was in that team. I think.
Interesting. So pedigree there is. Yes. And he's been manager since 2015, so he's been there quite a while now.
Yeah.
So, they've obviously been going in the right direction. Former Birmingham City player, though, so we don't like him. Do you want my surprise package?
Yeah.
So mine, I've kind of gone similar logic to what you've gone with, really. I've gone with Denmark for a couple of reasons. Firstly, in the Euros last year, I thought they played particularly well, and I know they feel very hard done by losing to England in the semi-final. I look at their squad, lots of experience, but I think players that are still capable of having a good tournament. Kasper Schmeichel, obviously, age is not really a barrier for goalkeepers. I know he's 35 now, but he's been around, 86 caps. Good experience, and he's the vice captain. They've got Anderson at the back, who's been playing well for Crystal Palace this season. Kjær has obviously been playing at the back for ages. Eriksson, obviously, we know his quality, and he's got his move to Man United now, and obviously we don't want to see the same scenes that we saw at the Euros with him. I'm sure he'll be absolutely fine this time around.
Yeah.
Højbjerg, I know I criticise him all the time, but this season, he seems to have gone to another level somehow. The only thing that they're really lacking at the minute, I'd say, is a striker. But, Damsgaard looked really promising in the Euros, had a very good tournament, and then he's kind of gone a little bit missing for Brentford and not really done that much. But I think there's definitely possibility there that they could get, I think, probably to the quarterfinals, kind of like what you were saying for Senegal.
Yeah, definitely.
They agree. You fancy France to win it. I think France are going to probably win all three games. They've got Australia and Tunisia as the other two teams. I think Denmark are probably going to come away with 2 wins. So I can see them finishing second, and they play the Group C qualifiers. So Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Mexico or Poland. And even Argentina these days, if they came up against Denmark, I'm not sure I fancy them. Aguero's retired. Messi obviously hasn't been on the same form, but you can never count him out. But he's going to kind of be a team of one, really. There's not that much for Argentina. They're certainly not as strong as they usually are going into a World Cup. Emi Martinez in goal aside, obviously. But, there's not that much experience. I mean, they're still playing Otamendi at centre-back by the looks of things. He was in their last squad. So I'm not too sure. Di Maria's 34 now. now, and he's still getting in the squad. So I'm not convinced basically for Argentina. So I think that if Denmark did come second in their group, I could see them getting past the next round as well if they come up against Argentina, or if they could beat France in their group and top it and play probably Mexico, Saudi Arabia or Poland. I think they're all winnable games for them. So that's going to be my dark horse for the tournament.
I think you're right, because I think when you look at the Euros, I think it was anyone's game against England. You know, if they would have played that replayed that game, they might have won. You know, it was close. It wasn't like it was a one-sided game. And like you said, they've got some good players. I think obviously they've, like you said, they've got Christian Eriksen, who I would assume is going to be the first name on that team sheet. They used to have a guy called Christian Poulsen as well up front. I don't know. I'm not sure how well he's doing at the moment, but
don't think he's playing much for Leipzig at the minute. Kind of look at their team sheet, and he was sort of on the recent call-ups, but not played for a little.
Yeah, but you're right with Damsgaard. I mean, he's a good player, but you know, he hasn't really been playing that well for Brentford. So yeah, well, I think Senegal and Denmark are definitely ones to watch out for. And I think next week we'll probably do underachieve. And
let's really annoy a country. Let's annoy a whole
and I'm not going to pick England.
No.
Just in case I jinx it. So yeah. So that's the end of this week's Talking Points. We're back in part 2 with some Wonders of White, a quiz, and a Who Am I? So we'll be back shortly. Hello and welcome back to part 2 of this week's podcast. And we're going to go into some Wonders of White. So Almiron is 5 from 5 currently. But before this, it took him 61 matches to get 5 goals.
It took him a long time to get even one, didn't it?
Yeah.
Really struggled. But yeah, he's flying at the minute. Well, Newcastle are flying at the minute, aren't they? So, yeah, Jack Grealish is regretting that drunken comment on the bus.
I mean, he looks a bit silly now. So it's the first time since New Year's Day that Arsenal have scored first and not gone on to win a game in the Premier League after their draw. This is a Villa-related one. Aston Villa have scored 2 goals in the opening 7 minutes, which is the first time they've ever done that in the Premier League.
Yeah, we're not quick starters, to be honest. It did surprise me at the weekend.
And Jorginho has scored 19 of his 21 goals for Chelsea from the penalty spot. I mean, I'm so good we didn't win that game on Sunday, but it is what it is. Right, so this week's quiz is a little bit different, and when you hear it, it's going to sound a bit like Liam's not going to get anything, but you will. Okay? So, this is, I've called this quiz Counting Countries.
Oh, God.
So, you may need a pen, a calculator, or your head. So, I have a list in front of me of all the teams currently ranked as a country in the FIFA men's rankings. Now, there are 5 groups that I've put together. Each group contains 3 countries. You're going to need to tell me what their rankings add up to.
Oh, God.
Here is where I've given you some help.
Okay.
So for each grouping, you can pick one team, and I will give you the number that they currently sit at. And you also have a 20-20 swing, so you can be within 20 or below 20, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
So you've got a leeway of 40, basically, okay?
Well,
the rankings go up to 211, okay? So that is the bottom team is 211. And do you wish to play this quiz? You've got no choice, but
I'm gonna do it.
I put some theatrics behind it. So
I've got my phone calculator prepared.
So there's, like I said, there's 5 groups of 3, and this is your first group.
Okay.
So your first group is France, Angola, and San Marino.
Okay. So give me Angola.
Angola is 119.
119. And I reckon France are probably got to be near the top, haven't they? I'm going to go there. And I reckon, how many countries did you say there were? 211?
Yeah.
Yeah, San Marino, I think, are bottom. So my calculator's telling me 335.
You got it right. It's 334. So you were just one off. France are 4th ranked currently. I'm assuming you went with them 5th, yeah. And San Marino are indeed the 211th ranked team in the world. Okay. Next one is Germany, USA, and Japan.
Oh, God. Blimey, it's the Second World War all over again. Where are Japan?
Japan are currently ranked 24th.
24th, USA and Germany. So I want to say, I'm going to put Germany. I think they're not what they used to be. I'm going to put them at 7th, I think. And USA, I think, because they tend to beat loads of teams around them. The teams around them are pretty rubbish. So I'm going to put them at 10th. So I've got 41.
So 41. The answer is 51. But like I said, you get 2020. So you have got that one right. Germany are 11th ranked in the world. And USA is 16th.
Okay, so I've overestimated both teams are.
Yeah. So they're gonna start to get a little bit harder now.
Germany, did you say Germany were 11th in the world?
They are 11th, yeah.
I'm just going to make a note of that for the Overachievers podcast next week. Yeah,
so
sorry.
Your next grouping is Brazil, Hong Kong, and Guam.
Oh, God, right. This is, I'm getting the fingers and toes out for this one. I reckon Brazil are probably near the top somewhere. So what ranking are Hong Kong?
Hong Kong are 145th in the men's FIFA rankings.
I reckon Guam have got to be pretty similar. So I'm going to go with 150. And I think Brazil are 2nd. So I've got 297.
So you've got that one wrong. It's 351. Brazil are 1st ranked in the world currently. I gave you Hong Kong at 145 and Guam at 205. So they are right down there.
Awful Guam.
National team. Next one is Scotland.
Right.
Oh God, I'm not sure I'm going to say this. Burundi.
Okay. Saido
Berardino. And Seychelles.
Right. What mark? I'm going to go for Burundi. What mark are they?
141.
141st. I reckon Scotland are about 20th. And what were the other team?
Seychelles.
Seychelles. They are way down. So I'm just going to add 200 onto that. And I've got 361.
Correct. You've just scraped the leeway on that one. It's 380.
Oh, I'm in by 1.
So you're in by 1. What did you have down for Scotland?
I had them down about 20th.
40th they are currently.
Really?
Yeah. And what did you say for Seychelles? You must have put 200.
Yeah, I said 200.
Well, they're 199.
Oh, so close.
So, yeah. So, I mean, and anything else other than what you put, you would have got that wrong. But yeah, no, that's correct. So we've
Seychelles.
got 3 out of 4 so far. So the fifth and final one is England,
Okay.
Lebanon,
Oh, God. Yeah.
and Tahiti. I just had Tahiti because it just sounds like a nice country. Tahiti.
I don't even know where we are at the minute because we obviously on a bit of a bad run. So I'm going to say we're about 10th. I'm going to ask for where Lebanon are because I think Tahiti is somewhere near the bottom.
Okay, they're 99th, Lebanon.
Right. Wow. Lebanon are climbing the rankings. That's way higher than I thought they would be. So I think I'm going to say we're about 10th, and I'm going to put Tahiti. I don't know. I mean, it could be anywhere between like 100 and 211. I'm going to guess Tahiti are 185th. So I've got 294. I think
294 is just out.
Oh,
So it's 266 is the answer.
see, better than I thought.
You added too much to England. They're 5th.
Are we still? Unbelievable.
Yeah. Lebanon are 99th, like I said, and Tahiti. What did you have done for Tahiti? You just added
185, I think.
162 they were. So
much better than
I mean, you were just you only lost that one by what? 8 points. So I mean, you weren't too far off, to be fair.
Right. All these sunny countries, Chris, they're too busy enjoying the beaches to play football.
Yeah. I mean, there are. I mean, Seychelles. They're pretty much. I'd say everything from about 185 downwards are pretty much in the same boat as San Marino. Very rarely get a win.
All on 0 points.
All their qualifications, that they don't get anything out of them. They score more. That's the only reason they're above San Marino, I think, is because they score more goals. But then, like the Seychelles, they play a lot of the other, islands around them. So they end up losing, but they end up losing like 7-4 or like 7-2 or something like that. So they do score quite a fairly few amount of goals. And I think Guam, when I looked at their last results, I think they've conceded about 25 goals in their last 3 games and haven't scored. So,
wow. I think,
yeah.
Do you think San Marino got it really tough because obviously Europe is so competitive? I think
Yeah.
if you lifted up San Marino and dumped them in the Pacific Islands, they'd probably be ranked about 100th in the world. But because they're playing like Italy, Germany, England every week, well, not every week, but every game.
That's what I mean, because a lot of the islands down there, they're not playing highly ranked teams, are they?
No.
So they do have it a little bit easier. But yeah, no, that was I called it country counters or counting countries. Can't remember what I called it now. But yeah, no, something a bit different. And yes, I had to use a calculator for all of them.
Yeah. Don't blame you. Math isn't my strong point either.
Right. Who am I?
You're Chris.
Yes, I know.
I've got a who am I for you this week. It's unfortunately not. Not unless you started your career at Crewe Alexandra. Did you start your career at Crewe?
Oh no, I couldn't get in.
No.
They wouldn't let me in. No.
So started a career at Crewe. Then moved to Liverpool and went back on loan to Crewe.
Yeah.
They then moved on to Charlton, Spurs, Fulham, and then they retired at Blackburn Rovers.
Blimey. So that was the main teams were Liverpool. Who else was it? Liverpool?
Charlton, Athletic, Spurs, Fulham, and Blackburn Rovers.
So Crewe. So
So I've got a couple of hints if
I think
required.
with that I would say that they didn't really play for Liverpool. I'm thinking just purely on the basis that they were loaned out, unless it was a sort of in the clause. Have you got when they retired?
Yeah, so I'll give you the year they first made an appearance
Yeah.
and the year they retired. So they started for Crewe in 1993 and they retired in 2013.
2013. Blimey. So this feels like a tough one. Normally I can get it quite quickly by the teams, but because I'm assuming he's English,
He
it's
he is English.
a
I've
bit
not gone
more.
down the foreign route because
Yeah,
you
it's a
felt
bit more difficult.
you saw what I was doing and called out basically the first team as their nationality. So I thought I'd go English this week.
A lot harder when it's English. Right, so they play for Liverpool. So, sorry, when did they first make an appearance for Crewe?
1993.
Right. And then after Crewe on loan, what was the team after Crewe, sorry?
So they started for Crewe, moved to Liverpool.
Yeah.
While they were at Liverpool, they had a loan spell back at Crewe,
Yeah.
and then they moved to Charlton Athletic after they finished for Liverpool. And then Spurs, Fulham and Blackburn Rovers.
There's just...
I can provide another...
one more clue. Just, yeah.
So I'll give you the three teams that they played for more than the others. So for all of these teams, they played more than 100 league games. So Crewe Alexandra, they played more than 100 league games. Liverpool, they played more than 100 league games. And Fulham, they played more than 100 league games.
This is difficult because the person that springs to mind, I don't think played for Tottenham.
I do have one final clue.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to take it. The thing is, I've got a name in my head and I can't get it out of my head now.
So the final clue I'm going to give you. So you've successfully identified that he's English. He played 9 times for England between 2001 and 2003, and he scored 1 goal.
Okay. There is only one player I know that's played for Liverpool and Fulham off the top of my head, but for the life of me, he didn't play for Tottenham, so I don't. I have no. I'm really stuck this week. I'm just going to say the name that came to my mind, but I don't think it is. It's Danny Murphy, but he didn't play.
Correct. It is indeed.
Oh my God, I got it right.
You did get it right. Yeah.
He's the name that's been stuck in my head for the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, Danny Murphy.
When did he play for Tottenham?
2005-06. So he joined from Charlton halfway through the season and played 10 games, and then played 12 games the season after. Basically not much. So he wasn't there long, and then he moved on to Fulham, and then
because the only teams I remember him playing for were Liverpool and Fulham. And then when you said that he played 100 games for Liverpool,
yeah,
I thought it sounds like Danny Murphy, but it was the Tottenham thing that was in my mind.
This is all competitions. A few Danny Murphy stats for any Danny Murphy fans out there. So he played 142 times for Crewe and scored 30 goals.
That's a lot. How long was he there for?
4 years, and then another sort of half season, I think, on loan. So like 4.5 years. For Liverpool, 246 games for Liverpool and 44 goals in all competitions.
That's quite good. That's not bad.
No, I mean his scoring record is actually is pretty good for a midfielder. He got 10 goals in 64 for Charlton, but he was only there for 2 years. 2 goals in 29 games for Spurs. 29 in 204 games for Fulham, and then 2 goals in the Championship for Blackburn in 35 games. So 120 goals in his career overall.
That's not bad.
That's not bad. He's got a lot of League Cup goals in there. He averages over a goal every 2 games in the League Cup. He's got 16 goals in 30 games, so he seems to really enjoy that competition. And obviously, Fulham did well in Europe, didn't they, while he was there? So he's got.
Yeah, he would have been there when they got to the final, didn't they?
Yeah.
Is he there?
Yes.
2010 they got.
Yes, he was.
Final.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just sort of included him because similar to you, I kind of forgot he played for Charlton and for Spurs. But you know, the thing that I found odd was 9 games for England, sort of all came within 2 years of each other, but actually a really consistent sort of scoring record for Liverpool between kind of like 99 and 2004-ish.
Mm.
You know, if there was a midfielder with the record that he had for Liverpool playing in the Premier League now, I think they'd probably have had more England appearances, but it was probably a bit more competitive. You know, we had Scholes and Gerrard.
It's a generational thing, wasn't it, around that time? I mean,
so that's probably why he didn't get a look in. But then I also think to that period, and I think Kieran Dyer managed like 25 caps for England nearly. So, yeah, just thought he'd been a bit harshly treated there. But, yeah, good player. Kind of, you know, I know he's Gerrard's mate and everything. He's kind of annoyed me this week. That's why I included him, basically. He's been chatting rubbish about how we should have kept Gerrard for a bit longer.
A lot of talk sport, was it?
Basically, yeah. I've been replying to every tweet that's out so far this week.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty impressed that I got that right. I honestly, my mind has gone blank that he ever played for Tottenham.
Yeah. He didn't much, to be fair.
Well, yeah, I guess not, but yeah, even so, strange how I forgot that. Cool. Right, well, we will be back next week, and I promise next week we will talk about West Ham, whether they win, lose or draw at the weekend.
Yeah.
Because we were going to talk about them today, but with obviously the news that Emery joined Villa, I thought it was only fair that you got to talk about something positive.
Yeah,
this week.
Yeah.
So we will do West Ham next week, and we will also do a underachiever World Cup theme as well. Liam will have the quiz, and I will have Who Am I? So we will be back next week.